Okay, calm down.
So we want to make sure that people see our next guest, who is Susan Abulhawa, a Palestinian American writer and human rights activist. She is the author of Mornings in Jenin, which was translated into 32 languages and sold more than 1 million copies. The Blue Between Sky and Water, and Against the Loveless World. And she is the founder of Playgrounds for Palestine and the executive director of Palestine Rights. So, Susan, welcome.
Hi,
Thank you so much
Katie.
for joining. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. By the way, I really want to recommend Susan's books, especially for people who don't know a lot about the issue of Palestine and a lot of the history. It's a really great way to get people aware of it because it's not boring. I mean, I was going to say it's not boring history. History can be very exciting, but fiction, I think, has a special way of getting people to be interested in a subject kind of effortlessly. So I highly recommend it. And the holidays are coming up, so good holiday present.
I'm gonna get you to write a blurb for me. Not
Sure.
boring.
Not boring. Yeah. No, great. I can even be better than that. Yeah. But it's a really good, I think, like gateway book for people who don't know a lot about it. And there it is. There's the cover of it. All the books are great. I've read all of them. And
Did you?
yeah,
Aw.
of course, yeah. And of course, I'm always like, which part is real? What is that her? Is that someone she knows? I'm always curious whenever people write books. I want to know what's fiction, what's nonfiction. So I wanted to have you on to catch up with you, but also to ask you in particular about your recent trip to Egypt. You were with the Caravan of Conscience, and you were trying to get to the Rafah crossing. Can you tell us about what happened?
So we were actually the first international group to go there, and we arrived before they made the announcement for the World Conscience Caravan.
Okay.
So we, in part, the call that came out was in part spurred by our presence there. We went as a group. Myself and Susan Abulhawa had some contacts in Egypt, and we thought we might be able to get to Rafah. It was a long shot, but so many of us have been here just paralyzed, unsure what to do, and um, at a minimum, we were going to take some aid with us that that we wanted to give to the Red Crescent as a donation, and we were not allowed to go to Rafah. There was one moment where we thought we were going to get to go with the Dastur party, Hizb Dastur. It's the Constitution Party. It's an opposition party in Egypt, and actually they were given permission. It was really a kind of a bizarre situation. They left at 7:30 in the morning and didn't get to Rafah until like 9:30 at night because there are so many military checkpoints from all throughout Sina, from Cairo to El Arish and then to Rafah. But we thought we were going to have a chance to go with them on their bus, but at the last minute we were denied. They gave us like a lot of different reasons why, but in the end, it didn't really matter. We weren't allowed to. And then the call that was put out for internationals to come was done through the media syndicate in Cairo. It's the Egyptian media syndicate, and it seemed like they were going to be able to get permissions, but of course, as you know, they later put out another message online that for people who haven't already booked, don't come because it doesn't look like permissions are forthcoming. And indeed, to this day, I think there's some people also stuck in Cairo, much as we were, who are unable to get to Rafah because the Egyptian government apparently doesn't want a bunch of internationals going to Rafah. They don't want to lose control over the situation. They're giving all manner of excuses why, but yeah, who knows?
You said you got arrested?
Yeah, so when we weren't going to be able to go to Rafah, we were detained, rather, I should say.
Detained. Okay.
Uh, we, I was in communication with someone, one of the attaches at the U.S. Embassy, because we wanted to meet with them and express our displeasure as U.S. citizens. And he was really kind of slow responding. And anyway, we decided to have a press conference. We were going to deliver a letter to them, to the embassy, and have a press conference outside the embassy. So we got, our group, we're in different cars. And when I arrived, part of the group was on the other side of the street, and they told us that, security told them they're not allowed to, to deliver anything. They can't be there. So we were on the other side of the street, on a public sidewalk. We're about maybe 14 people. And security was just coming up to us, one after another, asking questions. And it seemed pretty innocent enough. They were, wanted to know why we're there, what we're doing. And I was the only one who was fluent in Arabic. There were a couple other people who spoke kind of broken Arabic. So I was just kind of explaining to them, maybe a bit naively, just, hey, we're not here to cause any issues. We were delivering a letter. You told us we can't do that. So now we're across the street. We're not bothering anybody. And then each one would say, okay, you're fine. And then the other one would come, and the same scenario would play out again. And so and the next thing we know, we were surrounded by, like, a whole crew of them came. So they were basically buying time until the rest of their posse came. And suddenly their demeanor just switched really quickly, and they became incredibly belligerent, and, like, and using their most terrifying voices and whatnot. And they honed in on the brownest person in the group. And he did get, they knocked him around a bit. We were quite worried that he was going to get tortured. He was of Egyptian background. But in the end, it turned out to be okay. They just interrogated us and took our passports, took our phones, and we just, answered their questions, whatever, and they let us go.